Feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. I want it now. Feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. So show me how. Feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. I want it now. It feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. Show me how. Feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. I want it now. Feels like I never touch, like it's not enough. I want it now.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me in the back? Yes, that's good, that's good. So guys, we have 1 minute to come back to the seat, and then let's start the Metadium official meetup. So slowly, the team Metadium, bring the people, bring the crowd to the front. Can't hear. Okay. I'm just gonna go and take them. Yeah. Okay, guys. Hello. Let's start the meetup. Okay, let's go. Thank you, guys. Let's go. Let's start it. Can we start? Yeah, awesome. Can we start? Yes, yeah. Can we start? Yeah, thank you. Can we start, Taiga? Yeah. There was something. Yeah. Oh, so let's go. Let's sit down. Yes, yeah. So guys, let's sit down. Yeah. Try. Can we start, guys? Awesome. Sit them. All right. So we still have a lot of seats in the front. So please come and sit. And don't forget, this show is broadcasting all around the world. So you guys have to sit so we can start on time, yeah? Thank you. So we still have a lot of sit in the front. If you guys can come to the front, it would be helpful. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, guys. We will have enough networking time. We prepared a great party after this meetup. So I'll be very appreciate if you can come and sit down. And then Team Metadium, please bring the people to the seat. Good. Can you see? Yeah. Thank you so much. Can we sit? At the front, there is more seats, guys. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Finally. Good. Welcome again to the very first Metadium meetup. I hope you guys enjoy last 1 hour of food, drinks, people, new friends, and great vibe around. We all welcoming people who are here on site with us, and we also welcoming the people who are behind their screen right now watching this. And I don't know how many people watching this, and I don't know how many country is actually online right now, but we welcoming all of you and the people around the world. And this is our very first meetup of Metadium. So far, we are very good project, but it was hidden. It was we were on the stealth mode, but today we finally come out to you guys and show what we've been thinking, what we've been discover. So we want to discover Metadium with you guys. That's why we named it Discovery. And we will have a series of meetup, something amazing like this, and we'll have a different names. Today, Discovery. I don't know what's gonna come next. So stay tuned. Yeah, today, right now we have 7-5 here, and we will have a 20-minute of our CEO Justin gonna share with you guys our vision and the strategy. And then after that, we will have a fireside chat with the CTO and CEO together, because we didn't want to have a boring presentation, so we put them as a conversation. And after that, we will have a short break, and then we will have a panelist from different industry, which is game industry, contents industry, data industry. So we'll have how the blockchain can actually work with the identity protocol and why is it so important. I hope you guys enjoyed also the beautifully present ID-related exhibition. This is all about our team's effort, and thank you so much for the team doing a great job. And I hope you guys have enough time to look at each piece of the work, and hope you enjoy the drinks and food and friends and Metadium. From now on, I will introduce our CEO, Justin. Woo! So next 20 minutes is his on.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming, and I'm so excited to present finally about the Metadium that all people are curious about. You know, firstly and most, we really thanks for your all your support, and then I'm very excited about sharing what we plan to do, and then how we're going to implement it. So today I'm going to more focus on the, not about this introduction of Metadium. I guess you guys all read about our white paper already, right? Okay, so let's start with Metadium. Why Metadium? It's as we had this little bit of exhibition here that indirectly represent, like, try to show what's the identities. So if once talk about identities, you guys may not really care about or thought about the identity itself, because it's like a breathing air, you know. You don't really thankful for the air unless you thought about the air. But the identity is the same thing. It's it represents yourself, but you don't really know whether I choose to represent myself as identity on your passport, on your driver's license, even on your birth certifications. So next is it's just boring. It's a bit boring. The words, and then many of the blockchain project is trying to cover the self-sovereign identities. So self-sovereign identity came from the questions like, who's the one that represents my identity, where my identity came from? But you cannot really answer, because it's a real identity, we call it. You're given by authorities or the schools that gives you graduate certificates, for instance. So that's why, and then even the virtual identity, for instance, that you don't really thought about, like, who choose this identity, because it's owned by Facebook, it's owned by Google. But the whole idea came from reverse thinking, that why don't I choose my identity with my own will? So that's all about the self-sovereign identity, and we believe that the blockchain technology is best suitable to one-step approach to resolve these self-sovereign identity issues. It's been out there since 1976 or something, when the Professor Diffie came out with PKI, the public key infrastructure. So given that time, there's a a few of issues regarding implementation of the self-sovereign identity. The first one and the foremost is no one really, I mean, it's so convenient, and then you're so used to it that you were given some identity by someone else that you don't really care why I care about my own identity. Until recently, the Facebook got hacked. Until recently, all the banks and then even a lot of exchange has a hacking instances, and then I felt that I'm the one who should own my self-identities. So the next one I would like to mention is, another the challenge about the self-sovereign identity is that because the problem with self-sovereign is one has to bear the overhead of owning my own ownership of the identities. So we thought about the ideas, applying the blockchains that and then the protect my own data with the incentives. That incentives that gives you the responsible for your own identity. That's the thing that can make this self-sovereign identity possible. Okay, so let me talk about where Metadium comes from before we talk about further dig into our strategy and visions. So we're not just saying we do identity, blockchain identity, like many projects out there. So we're different because, in a sense, officially CoinPlug is our partners, but actually it's our seed, I would say. So we came from the CoinPlug. CoinPlug is a blockchain company founded back in 2013. And in this industry, as you know, 6 years of the foundation history is like grandfather. So, okay, since 2013, the CoinPlug actually had implemented permission-based decentralized ledger technology, DLT. So we call it FIDO ledger. So we already have this, we are very familiar with blockchains. We've done a lot of POCs already. And then not only the FIDO ledgers, but there is, I'm sure on the internet, Facebook, Instagram, when the people, the influencers or bloggers about the cryptos, they posted this, the blockchain ATMs. Actually, that's a photo of our Bitcoin ATM machines in our office. That was the first Bitcoin ATM. That was also developed by CoinPlug. And then we also have a prepaid Bitcoin card, identity authentication. Obviously, it's the beginning of the self-sovereign identification. And then single sign-on technology with multi-signature vault system as well. So hold this, if you look at this, the series of technology that CoinPlug has, that's our Metadium's fundamental. That's the beginning of the Metadium. So what I'm trying to say is we're nobody from nowhere. We're somebody from somewhere. Okay, so this is one thing that I want to emphasize is that the CoinPlug owns about 171 patents regard to blockchain technologies. So as of, has been increased to 182 as of September 6th. So we filed another 11 patents regarding the blockchain technologies. And then it covers various areas such as notaries, notary publics, payment systems, asset management, and authentication. So that's our assets. We are partners, we share the patents as well. So next topic I want to cover is that I want to start with two fundamental the challenges that the blockchain technology is facing now. I mean, I know all of you are expert on blockchains, and then there's a lot of challenges against in the tech area, but I will cover. I'm a VC background, so I want to cover it as this business-oriented perspective. So first one and the foremost is some mass adoption issues. That mass adoption is nothing new. It's not only the blockchains. It happens to the artificial intelligence as well. They're still struggling. So it may come from the infrastructure. Infrastructure itself may not ready. For the artificial intelligence, computation powers, with the clean data, there may be the obstacles. And the blockchain also has some problems that has to be overcome in order to have the mass adoption stage. So we wanna try to find what's the best way to solve the mass adoption problems. And then second problem is we call it origin problem. Some call it as oracles. So does blockchain guarantees absolute trust? This is a fundamental question we have. I mean, how these the origin of the blocks, the initial and the first blocks, which converted from the offline to online, and then we can guarantee that information is correct. The ledger can guarantee the problems. So this verification of initial blockchain has been out there, and a lot of debates are going. And then unfortunately, most of the project may not really seriously care about these issues. But blockchain is about the trust. Blockchain is about the immutabilities. It's all the pros of the blockchain actually assumes that all the information, the initial information written on the ledger has been the truth. But what if it's wrong? That creates a serious problem. So, okay, so our strategy is simple. We wanna solve these two fundamental issues. Mass adoption is how we're gonna solve it. We need to come out with a real use case, real practical use case. That's the first one. Second, how are we going to build trustless trust? How are we going to solve the origin problem? And then our solution to that is we're going to build context network. It's not about the trust. So we believe the trust is the next step, next stage of the context network. So we cannot build the trust network from nothing. We need to build up this context-based network, and then that will bring the true trustless trust network. So we need to step forward to make this, everybody thinks that revolutionary blockchains can really happen. But actually we think our approach is like we need to make an evolution, not a revolution. Okay, so in order to explain our approaches, I want to share how we interpret the blockchain itself. Everyone has different interpretation, so we're explaining where we come from, explaining how we approach these issues, that I need to explain how we understand as an expert group about the blockchains. So blockchains, we define blockchain as nothing more than decentralized database. And then with a P2P network, and then consensus, and then cryptography, for sure. So many of the project, they define as if consensus and cryptography part is everything. But actually, we call this the three layer of the components. It's nothing more than decentralized ledger technology, which is a FIDO chain we've been implemented 6 years ago. And then on top, we add the ingredients called token economy and the smart contract. So we call this blockchains. So as for earlier mentioned about these mass adoption issues, we don't want to tackle the consensus and cryptography. It's a difficult homework to solve. And then there's a limitation, as you know. And then we don't say we have a million PPSs already. You know, we know the technology, we understand the technology, we know the limitation of technology. So given that situation, we come up with a use case that specifying this database layer. So we separate into two. The use case from the database is one, how to utilize static database. Second is how to utilize the dynamic databases. So, of course, the good example of the dynamic database approach is the famous Airbloc they're doing. So, I mean, that's why you see we have something common and then we have the same angles. It's a real use case approaches. And then we want to have this full set of layer into one, not limited to each or certain horizontal layer. We're gonna make up straight up and then have a vertical integration and then come out with the real use cases. And then, so in order to make this vertical integration, we cannot we cannot come out with like one solution that solve every single problems. We want to focus on the certain industry, certain sector, or certain business models. What about the origin problem? How are we gonna solve the origin problem? So there's many self-sovereign identity related project out there, and then most of them their approach is starting from the real world self-sovereign identity, which is like something like a passport, social security numbers, in Korea there's a 주민등록증 and so on. So it's something like just making the digital transformation, I would say. And then there's no linkage that can guarantee transfer this. No one really can do the 100% weatherproof type of guarantees this transformation, whether it's true or not. So our idea comes from the reverse thinking. How about we approach as like a virtual identity? Everybody here, I know you have at least one Google account, at least one game ID, at least one ID, and then somewhere that e-commerce that you use. So our approach is like we start from the virtual identity, and then we give context to that identity. And then the context may contain certain information that may or may not include in the real world identity. So attesting those real world identity, the contents of the real world identity attached to the virtual identity, then that will become a self-sovereign identity. So let's think about, let's put it this way, like self-sovereign identity. Oops, okay. All right. So self-sovereign identity is like, let's think about a box. Then you can put the every single information that you can, the activities, as I mentioned earlier, static or dynamic database, kind of information stored and combined with one single self-sovereign identification. So meaning of the self-sovereign identification here is it defines subject. It defines you, it defines me, or it defines something or someone, you know. So that makes sentences, complete sentences. I did something here. You did something there. You need a subject. So self-sovereign identity acts as the digital subject. So with this self-sovereign identity, we call it meta ID, and then we combine with our creditation platform, which is an off-chain sidechain platform that gives you, for the static database such as ID itself, we gives reputations, and then for others like the dynamic databases, we create this credit and risk system that gives the credit scores or risk scores of attached to the certain ID, and then these transaction IDs. So combining with the static identification, that creates the context, and then that creates the character, that creates maybe real you. It can be one, it can be many, but that represents you. So this is our ecosystem. So we have different actors. Of course, there's users, there's service providers, there's the apps, there's attestation agencies, we call it. And then attestation agency I'm not talking about the government agencies. Attestation agencies can be the bank or the agencies, but also at the same time service provider themselves. Someone who can attestate not every single information, but certain information. For instance, if you partner with Uber, for instance, maybe you can attestate your driver's license. If you partner with e-commerce players, you can attestate maybe your addresses, your payment information. So all these things can be combined with a single meta ID, which is a self-sovereign identity. So whenever, as and when you have your own right to choose what to present to use certain services. So we call it, this is a self-sovereign. So what's our vision? Okay, we're going to define digital subject. We help you to define yourself on the digital cyber world, virtual world. And then we're going to build context network for the digital economy. So this is our vision, and then this will be our network, our mainnet, our Meta ID platform. We will define the subject, and then we will build the context into the network, and then definitely there can be the game changes for the digital economies. So I'm not sure whether you fully understand my presentation, but this is something big. So this is something that I've been thinking for a long time, and then this is something before the blockchains, like before trust network, we have to have this stepping stone of context network. Okay, so lastly, I want to share what our latest status. We start from the global. We're not like CoinPlug from the Korea, but our project is global project. And I want to emphasize that we have the offices in Korea, but also we have a core development team in the Silicon Valley. And then we also have the backup developers in the Vietnam. And then also myself, I'm based out of Singapore. So our approach is from the beginning is true global, and then this self-sovereign identification cannot be started from the local. So that makes us different with other projects. And then I hope you enjoyed my presentation, and then hope you have a time to understand more about the Metadium and then our vision and the strategy. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin. It's just to mention, we have a big picture. We dream big, and it could not be delivered by one person in 20 minutes. So we will definitely going to share more story about our strategy, our mission, our vision through the network and through the community. So please join our community and keep, working with us. So next, we'll have finally our CTO and CEO together for the first time. Let me invite them. Justin and Jeffrey, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Kevin. Always helpful. Okay, next we want to talk about our technologies, but I know it's always I've been in meetup sessions quite a few times, and then it's been always boring. So I was thinking like maybe having this like a conversational type of form maybe help you to understand more, and then because I'm not a techie, so I can ask the questions very in a simple manner, and then I hope the Dr. Song can answer as if he's speaking to the golden retriever or something. Okay. All right. So I would like to introduce our CTO, Dr. Song, Jeffrey Song, and then why don't you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks for introducing me, Justin. And good to see all you guys. My name is Jeffrey Song. I has been working as a CSO, Chief Security Officer, in CoinPlug since 2014. And I'm currently working as a CTO in Metadium project. Before I joining the CoinPlug, I have been working at the field of next generation communication system in Samsung Electronics Telecommunication Research Center. So yeah, today I'm here to explain a little bit about technical side of the Metadium, but I'm worrying whether that's gonna be more boring. But I try to make it a bit short and try to explain in plain language as much as possible.
Thank you. So in addition to that, Dr. Song has been, as he mentioned, with the CoinPlug since 2014. His history of a CoinPlug and a Metadium, and then he's our specialist and a core developer for himself is a smart contract specialist, and then he's specialized in the system architectures. He has a PhD and so on. So very strong tech team you have. All right. So next is like, how about like can you explain more about the Metadium, like how it started, especially that earlier I mentioned about the CoinPlug and the CoinPlug technologies. So in terms of the technology, how this Metadium idea evolved from based on your experiences.
Okay. As you might know, the Metadium is an ICO project, actually, but actually that has been prepared for a long time. It has a long history. There was no name Metadium, but the beginning of the Metadium dates back to year 2014. Online business in Korea have long used personal certificate system to identify the online users. But in order for user to use online banking services, they must obtain the personalized certificate from government-approved institution in advance. So the management of the private key always has been an issue in general PKI system, the same as this Korean personal certificate system. So the other problem is because the user has not much knowledge about how to keep their private key safe, and also the regular users are not aware of how important the private key, what they are holding, and also the banks also have to pay a large amount of fee for using while their users are using personal certificate. So even despite those problems of personal certificate system, it has many advantages over ID password system, because if we're using PKI system, it will open up the possibility for managing user ID by users, and also the public key infrastructure guarantee the strong end user security, and also they ensure the integrity of the user authentication information. So as a security expert, I think the key player in the PKI system is certificate authority. So from that point, we start thinking that blockchain can replace the role of the CA. Furthermore, the use of blockchain can lead to the idea that user would not have to bear the burden of managing their own certificate. So it was 2015 that we applied the first blockchain authentication patent by sorting out those ideas. And since then, more than 40 authentication patents have been filed and registered domestically and internationally. But our efforts are not limited for filing the patent. In year 2016, we built a blockchain authentication solution using the private blockchain technology, which was the world first.
I think you forgot to.
I think I'm gonna show later it was first commercialization of blockchain application in the world. So as I told you from the beginning, the Metadium is not the ICO project. It's a ID blockchain project that has long years of an effort has been done. So from the picture, because it's pretty difficult to click this together. So the ideation started in year 2014, and our first patent has been filed in 2015. And 16, we made a first product, the world's first commercialization of authentication service using blockchain.
What was the first patent about?
There is about the using the blockchain as a certificate authority. So it stored the public key and some user-specific information in it. And 2016, we expand to some different product. And actually, right now, we are in year 2018. So again, the Metadium is not quite new project. It has a long history from the side of the coin plug. So that's what I tried to say.
Thank you very much. That's pretty much of these milestones of history of CoinPlug and then Metadium together. So basically, as I shared earlier, the DLT part of this permission decentralized ledger technology is already ready. It's been ready for over a few years. So that's what Dr. Song was working on, and then we believe we're the most experienced in that field, and then the certificate authority matter is not easy to solve, to be honest. And then it is the most difficult is like about regarding the self-sovereign is how we're gonna educate the you guys, including myself, about that you have to be responsible for your own the private keys. So that has to be, some may have to take it as a burden because you guys are so used to it, used to use the Facebook ID, Google ID. But once you think about how important of owning my own identity, then we think everyone can understand and then ready and responsible for the taking care of their own private private key. That's the thing we try to solve. Okay, and next question is I mentioned earlier that since our approach is very centric to the use case approach, that and then I declare that we are not in the tech race. So maybe you guys have some misunderstanding about our tech capabilities. So I want to ask Dr. Song about our tech capabilities. So latest the debate on a blockchain, especially on the tech side, there's always these questions and challenges regarding the scalabilities, the TPS, and then the speed and everything. So what's your opinion on that matters?
Okay. Before I start answering your question, probably because it's pretty difficult for working together with that, so I'm gonna talk about the blockchain. So for many years, people are talking about what blockchain is for and what blockchain is not for. So it's a pretty difficult question, and really depending on the service you try to implement. So, but generally we can say the blockchain is for something that needs transparency, decentralization, and some low-cost transaction, and some secure data management or something. And someone said that if you want to use a blockchain, if your service is something related to any of these six then you should not use the blockchain for your solution. So generally, whenever we adopt a new technology into the existing system, we have to look at what is the strengths and weakness of those technology and judge their usefulness through quantitative and qualitative analysis. It's the same thing for us. We have been searching around many areas whether what is the best use case we can make in blockchain. But although we knew a lot about the blockchain, but sometimes it's quite difficult to fully understand their service itself and what is their real pain point. So many blockchain companies have been spending a lot of energies to find the correct use cases. But because the cases like that, always the same question has been repeated. Are we doing correctly by using the blockchain? Or is the benefit of using the blockchain is clear? So they did a lot of efforts, but however, many attempts has been often resulted in semi-structured artifact that we can say it's not properly using the blockchain, and they didn't really solve the real problem of the service. So our recent approach is a little bit different. That we believe we should focus more on the goal that we are trying to reach, rather than looking around the right use cases. So blockchain is not the panacea, so it cannot really solve all the problem by once. But again, no one arbitrarily defined blockchain only for use this kind of specific kind of a service. So I think the successful approach way is we have to focus on the pain point of the service. So it should be service-oriented approach that can find the right application of the blockchain in the real world.
Totally agree. Thanks for your answers. And then I think I skipped one question by accident. Okay. So every in the blockchain tech area, there is this debate going on about the consensus algorithms. So what's your view on the consensus algorithm, and then what's the how it can be assessed and based on the use cases? What's your opinion on that?
Well, as long as I know, there are more than 30 different kind of consensus mechanism available to the public right now, and all those technology has pros and cons. And I think the decision of the consensus mechanism for your blockchain should be really depending on the requirement you want to achieve. So actually in our ID system, we need some high performance transaction. It's not really like a very, very high, but it should be better than Bitcoin or Ethereum. So actually we adopt the POA, proof of authority, for our consensus mechanism at this moment. And since POA has rather a rather centralized block generation mechanism, it often used in the private blockchain sector than in public. But in our case, we combine the POA with the reputation system that we have been built. So based on that, we create the system that balanced between authority who's generating the block and user. And again, this is our kind of like a tentative decision. So if we can find any brilliant consensus mechanism in the future, we are ready to apply those mechanisms to our system.
Definitely like full understanding of the latest technology, and then full picture of each pros and cons, and with not only on the papers, but the POCs we've been doing, we've done, and then we know exactly what's suitable, which consensus is suitable for the which project or which applications. So I think that definitely help us to adopt, to create the use cases for the Metadium as well.
Sure. As you might present in the previous presentation, that there are lots of tech guys are doing a tech race, but what we are doing right now is try to make a global authentication service. So we should not like limit what kind of mechanism we can use. We should find the right blockchain, right mechanism. Anything we need, we can adjust to our system to achieve our goal.
Totally agree. So I think the next question is something that might be interesting for you guys. That recently the Vitalik, through the WeChat, he questions to the community about his 7 challenges about the Ethereums.
Okay.
And then one of them, I think that rings me a bell, that which related to our project.
Oh.
So which is about the account security.
Account
security.
Okay.
So what do you think about the account securities, and then related to our project, what are the things that we can do to make these to answer to these questions?
Okay. Every online authentication system has some secret information that could be a password or private key that only user can access, generate, and manage. But when this information is leaked, all the big problems start. in all the PKI system. So some people using the HSM, that is called the hardware security module in server side, and SCE you might heard in mobile side. By using those kind of technology, you can prevent your private key from being leaked out of your device. However, from the viewpoint of the service, because user can delete their application that has been installed, or user can lose their phone, or they can change their phone. So if there is a service, there should be some mechanism to restore the key, to recover the user's ID information or any digital asset they have connected with their private key actually to the address. So in Metadium, every user's action is starting from the operation of the private key. That's because we are using the blockchain and we are using the PKI. So whenever we handle this private key, we have to do it with great caution, because if we cannot really manage the private key properly, our system is gonna be in real big trouble, right? So we are planning to use some mnemonic of a BIP39 to restore the user key. Again, Metadium is ready to adopt any security technology if that can increase the level of security of our system. So we are still looking at the new technology, and always we are ready to use them.
That's great. Okay, so lastly,
Oh, that's okay.
okay, this is about, okay.
Yeah, you can skip them. Okay. The token economy.
Okay, so lastly, I have a question about, I want to ask you about our token economics, and then related to the technical perspective.
Okay. Token economy made it possible to create a system without an operator. That means again that we can create the network without administrator again. The economics of a token is a basic of the blockchain, which contain the value of a blockchain asset, must be rationalized in order to ensure that entire system runs smoothly in situation where all interested parties are maximizing their benefits. All actions related to IDs in Metadiums are recorded securely in blockchain in anonymous form, and every user's behavior is classified into either proper or improper ones. And depending on the outcome, the users will be rewarded or punished by token economy. And because token economy is the key part of the blockchain project, that as long as I think. So we are actually currently working together with external expert group to design our token economy, and we are putting a lot of resources and monies here to make a autonomous token economy system without any defect. So that's what we are currently working really active at this moment.
Thank you very much. All right, so I hope, we try to manage the level of conversation that's not to dig into the technology part. So I hope it have you guys grasp a bit of understanding of what we're doing, how we're capable of this kind of thing through our conversations. So I'd like to lastly I'd like to ask you about the comments.
Sure. As you might know, this is our first meeting, and Metadium is a live project, work in progress, and we still need a lot of talented people here, so we open opportunity for any talented and ambitious mind all the time. And thanks for coming our official starting point of Metadium. And please stay tuned. We are continue to evolve without stopping. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for understanding that I kicked out some people because it was too loud. I am sorry, people in the back, but like small noise make the big impact here. So thank you for understanding. So right now, so you guys are free for another 10 to 15 minutes, and I will see you guys back with amazing panels. See you guys in a bit. Bye.
maker. Shake what mama gave ya. Shake that money maker. Shake what mama gave ya. Shake that money maker. Shake what mama gave ya. Shake that money maker.
Hey guys, 15 minutes has been passed. So we're gonna start a panel discussion. So we have a 3 interesting panel right here on the stage. So please come back to the seat. And I am looking for our CEO, Justin. If you see him around, let me know. Does anyone see Justin around? Justin? Here he is. Yeah. And then Team Metadium, please bring a crowd to the seat, please. Thank you. Okay, guys, can we start the panel discussion, please? Hey guys, can we start a panel discussion? I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey guys, a panel discussion now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So we've got very interesting panel with us today. They are a great expert in their own industry, which is game, and then design content, and ad tag and data. And I want you to guys come back to the seat and then join us for the panel discussion. If you want to talk, you can go out. Thank you, thank you. So who's talking? You guys are curious, right? And you hear the sounds but don't know where it's coming from. Here I am. In or out? Yeah. Sorry.
Seriously, we expected just like there's tons of events going on
Today.
Today, like it's a blockchain week, and then seriously myself, I thought like everyone, at least half of you guys will leave before this session actually, but like still a lot of people. I mean, I really appreciate.
Now we have a good
you very
people
much.
right here. We can start. Thank you so much. We appreciate your staying, and then the party is right after the panel, so stay tuned. As I explained, that we have a great panel here with Justin and I gonna moderate the session. So as a beginning, could you introduce yourself? Your name, what you do, and so on.
Hello guys, I'm Fred Bear, the CEO of PICTION Network. PICTION Network is creating the decentralized peer-to-peer digital content ecosystem.
Hi everyone, my name is Joyce. I'm actually 15 years deep into the gaming industry, and so here today I want to share a little bit from a non-techie perspective of what this entire ecosystem that you're building towards is all about.
Hello, I'm Roy from Airbloc Protocol. Our company was founded in 2015, and for the last 3 years, we have been operating in big data and ad tech space.
Thank you very much. So you've heard like briefly what they're doing, and I was wonder like, you guys industry, it seems like not so relative to, I mean, well, it is some of you guys are relative and some are not, and we would like to hear a little bit more about, little bit deep dive into your industry, and then could you tell us, like, let's say there's not many people knows about your industry, then how could you explain it?
Yes, PICTION Network is led by Better Entertainment. we founded it 5 years ago. We are doing the digital contents, especially the digital comics. We call it Webtoon. As a contents company, we distribute the contents and we do the platform service, and even we make the contents production.
Okay, so I've worked in publishing to working in governments to look at how gaming can be a hub for a region. And I've also worked in hardware business where I actually look at content and how is it relevant to the device that we're creating, down to finally I'm working closely these days with developers. And in this space, how many of you play games? Simple show of hands. Now, every game you play is someone's digital content. And every identity you have on the game, it's your identity in this digital space. I hope that explains it.
So Airbloc protocol is a personal data exchange protocol where users would be able to submit their data on chain, and on the other hand, data consumers can come to our marketplace and purchase data for more efficient targeted advertising. So we deal with data, so we're related to identity as well.
I'm doing that identity. I don't know.
So he got tired from the fireside chat, so I'm gonna take over again. Yeah. So they all mentioned a little bit about identity when they explained their industry, and I would like to know a little more about what does identity mean, for your industry or your own business, and how it affect, or any thoughts on that from Roy.
Yeah. So in Airbloc protocol, we do not directly deal with personal identity. Instead, because we deal with personal data that is de-identified, which means the data that we deal with is anonymized, and then we don't know the actual owner of the data. Instead, we can know that the user actually, suppose I like to buy a Nike shoes. I know that I would like to buy the Nike shoes, but you don't know who I am. So actually, we indirectly finds out the person's identity in a way that we collect people's interest data and what they do in digital world. Yeah.
So identity in the game space means quite a different thing for everybody. In the early days of when you had an avatar, a different you can suddenly be free. You have a different identity online that allows you to be aggressive or be less aggressive, but basically you use that identity to go out and represent yourself. And sometimes I think a few of the people in the industry have grown to be famous and created a reputation for being like the most skilled person, or in the World of Warcraft world, mine themselves into a fortune. And even in like casual game space where I'm the best Candy Crush player, everybody watches my video. Okay, I'm not saying me, I'm crap at it. But essentially, if your avatar is you, then if it's not protected, someone else could just take over, and the hours of mining on World of Warcraft gone in 2 seconds. That to me is identity and why it's precious to you. At the same time, there are those who really identify themselves. This is the real me, and I'm putting myself out there. So be it hidden identity or your actual identity, both of it is important. I think Justin mentioned earlier that Facebook, for example, I had a few scares where someone kind of found my password and started posting nonsense, but it's a good friend, by the way, but real nonsense. But what if it had been a vicious attack? That would have been devastating. All my private information, my chats with friends, photographs, things like that are personal. If you lose it, you can't get it back in some respect. So that's identity in the game space.
Yep. For the digital contents, we have two important parties, creator and users. In terms of creator, they need identification to funded by the individual or crowds. So to do so, they need reliable identification. Secondly, the user side. For example, let's say the small children wants to see the adult contents. We can cut him out. So to do so, we need identification, and not only for the individual, but also in terms of the contents itself. We can put the identification content itself to prove that content comes from the certain creators. In terms of that, you need it.
Yeah, here we go. And then Joyce mentions about a reputation. And also, I believe the PICTION network, also the creators and users, readers, they have their own reputation sort of things that is very important, as well as the data or ad data. And I just want to hear some thoughts on that from Justin about how reputation could work in the Metadium, or what personal thoughts on that, about how reputation is important in this digital world, this economy.
So as I mentioned, that is the fundamental question, like where is the origin of identity, especially in the digital world. So how to define this digital identity, digital subject of a certain act? It seems like a very, very challenging, but the collective data of certain transactions and the reputation attached to the identification, that is the starting point to define self-sovereign identity. So I repeat it again. So so our approach is like not only define it in the identity by digital transformation to the mundane, from the mundane, but also our approach, as I shared earlier, we start from the virtual identity, and then I see myself that the most challenging will be how to deliver our concept to the users. So our approach will be very specific. Our target will be very specific. And then our target will be the one who doesn't even have the mundane identity. Sorry to say that our target is not you guys here, that you already familiar with the mundane identity, but we are going to target those young generations who doesn't even have the passport or social security number yet, but they intuitively have this perception of the virtual identity really represent themselves in the virtual world, especially in the games. Okay.
Yeah, as the beginning of our project, I mean, we definitely focus on the future generation, but it doesn't mean that you guys cannot be our target group as well. Because like, if you are young inside still, then we can, still you can still adopt this world. Yeah, of course. Now you guys heard one more time what the Metadium gonna do, and then target something, and then how could you imagine, if we work together, and how could you imagine this identity solution, something such like a Metadium, could work in your industry, not only your business? Start from Roy, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so Airbloc protocol is actually coming from the parent company called AB180, and then we provide big data analytics to enterprises in Korea. So right now, as a company and as a solution that is already existing in a market, we're collecting data from 40 million mobile devices in Korea in real time. So what we do with Airbloc protocol is actually when users agree to sell their data on a marketplace, we give them ABL tokens as rewards. So later on, when they earn enough ABL tokens so that they want to sell it on exchange, we need to know who they are before we allow them to transfer our ABL tokens to some other addresses. So that's where Metadium kicks in. So basically, since we only deal with the identified data, we always need some kind of other solution who majorly deals with people's true identity, which is Metadium. So I would say Metadium is the other half of our story. So we only deal with the identified data that's coming from individuals, but Metadium help us know our customers. So that's where Metadium can collaborate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, he's done such a good job, I can't remember half my speech. Okay, so in the gaming world, that's one of the most vibrant in terms of technology uptake. They pick up technology very quickly because they always have to be in front of the users. Think about Angry Birds. It's the first game you have on your phone, and that's first mover adoption. So developers tend to think that way. They want to be early adopters of technology so that they're on the forefront and can get more users. For a developer, the identity and how I envision Metadium could help is that it could mitigate the challenges they face in monetizing, in making sure that there's less of fraud, in also protecting what they create. Because digital content, it's one that is beautiful when it's shared, but also so liable for someone else to take over from you. And so the identity component, the protection of it, this mitigation is where I think Metadium could play a really strong role in this industry.
Yeah, until now, I've never seen such a reliable and trustworthy option like the Metadium before. Yeah. For the digital contents ecosystem, as I mentioned before, we aim to the decentralized model. It means we are gonna reduce the power of the intermediaries or eliminate the platform. Traditional digital contents world, the identification can be approved by the platform. But our PICTION network, because we are aimed to the decentralized model, there is no one who can solve that identification problem. So Metadium, but we don't want to handle the PICTION network itself. This is another aspect of centralization. The Metadium can solve that problem.
Yeah, thank you so much for the insight. I mean, yeah, there is a lot of possibility and opportunity that this industry could work with a Metadium or a service like a Metadium in the future. And one other question, because like there is like a blockchain general, and there's a lot of people in the startup industry or tech industry coming into blockchain industry. And Roy and Fred, they're also not only blockchain project, but also they're like successful entrepreneur in their own field, which is edtech, data, and contents, online contents. And Joyce itself, she is knowledge enough to be here today, and she knows very good about blockchain and how it could, evolve in the future. And I would like to give some people who are here or people who are watching this video an advice as your industry expert and who people coming into a blockchain scene right now. And then you guys already experienced in a bit, so you can just tell us, some advice or tips to come newcomer from your own industry to the blockchain. Does it make sense? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so actually the reason why we chose to partner with and work with Metadium is because they're coming from, this project is stemming from CoinPlug, which has a very strong technical background, not only just in Korea, but worldwide as well. So right now, our company is, since we are doing reverse ICO, we have 22 developers in our company, and then we're really focusing on tech side of this project. So I'm actually seeing more and more projects coming out with real world products and real world technologies. So now he's just presenting mere idea with white paper. More and more projects are actually showing investors how they can well do in this space with their own proprietary technology. So I would say that technology and real world product is really important. And then actually Justin mentioned a mass adoption issue. So right now is a good timing that we should tackle down this mass adoption issue by releasing out the product that is so useful to the public so that they can actually use it, not just imagining it. So in that sense, I would certainly say that we should really put more resource and time in building the real product, not just telling what we should do in the future. Yeah.
Okay, so in the gaming business, I'm not in the blockchain business, so just to clarify on that point. But having said that, in the game business, one of the things that people take up technology is when they trust it. And I think one of the key components that Justin brought up is trustworthiness. I worked in government before, and I know how much scrutiny we put in any company, any new tech. Governments usually don't like new tech because it's more things they need to investigate, more T's and I's they need to dot and cross. But when they do put their back behind something, it's after a lot of scrutiny. And so for us with CoinPlug and also Metadium is that they have actually proven themselves. They're not here recently in the last 6 months or something jumping on the ICO bandwagon. They've actually proven themselves in industry and being adopted by likes of banks and agencies. And for us, that means it's the trustworthiness has a bigger step to it. And in gaming world, even though they pick up technology quickly, it is their livelihood, so they do think about it a little bit more from the developer, from the publisher, and even to the end consumer. If it's something that's trustworthy, then chances are I would spend money on it. Like I would put some money behind it if I think it's trustworthy. So it's not, I think, the answer specifically to blockchain, but from my perspective in the game space, how it could be relevant and how it means to me. Fred?
Thank you.
Yep. For the digital contents era, all of the service provider pursuing to be the platform, because platform controls all the full power to the content provider and users. So that's the reason why all of the players wants to be the platform. Since until now, lots of projects is focused on lots of blockchain projects content focused on the infrastructure and tech side. But I'm sure that digital contents ecosystem can be a good area for to adopt the blockchain. But the thing is that we are doing the real business now. So blockchain can be the good option and can be the good answer for our ecosystem, but it can be adopted by step. Yeah, because we have users and we cannot force the user to buy the token in the Upbit, make the bank. Yeah, we can force the user. We can do that. So I want to say, adopt the blockchain step by step.
Wow, okay. There's a lot of good thoughts from this talk. Anything you want to add?
I think I'm done.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've covered actually pretty much it. And thank you so much for joining. And these projects are definitely interesting, and they will stay with us for the rest of the night. So please go and talk to them and find them. And also people with our t-shirts, Metadium t-shirts, they're our employee, our team, and also our advisor, and also our investor too. So you just go and talk to them if you have any question. And yeah, thank you so much for coming. And the day hasn't ended yet, and we're gonna stay another hour and a half party, networking, finally, yeah. And enjoy. the rest of the evening and then enjoy the rest of the Korean Blockchain Week. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Justin's supposed to end the session, but I did it. So we.
It's just I just want to say like one last thing that I've been keeping myself for a long time. That through my life I've learned the lessons that sometimes I've been searching for the right answers, but there's no right answers. So what we're trying to do is we move forward. We try always going after for the best answer at the given situation, given moment, and then we make ourselves keep moving forward. So until we're not sure whether we can find it or not, but we do our best to, and then we always try to look for the best answers. So we need your support, and then please keep your eyes onto our Metadium project and then how it evolves, and then how we can change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you.